All right, so we're going to move on now or return our attention to COVID, and we're going to delve in a little bit to cases. So far, we've simply been saying something like this with like that. There's a lot more that goes on here, obviously. Some people are asymptomatic, other people die. So the detail of this is important. So let's delve into that a little bit. All right. Well, we start over here on this side of my whiteboard with limited real estate. Start with people becoming infected. And that leads into a stock of infected people. And clearly there's a feedback that goes back like this. And then this is where our social distancing comes in, or our physical distancing, I guess we're calling it now. Now, there's a couple things that happen when people are infected. One is that they never know that they've been infected. That is, they were asymptomatic. And that's some fraction asymptomatic. Other people in this stock go on to get ill. And so this is the incubation period. So incubation, and those people have mild illness. And some of them recover. And that's determined by the fraction that have mild symptoms. So we have this going in here, and we have this going in here. Other people get more ill. And we can represent that by 1 minus the fraction that are mild. And those people, so these are people who get better at home. And I hope any of you who've had the illness are in this part now. But some cases become more severe and require hospitalization. And again, some of those recover. I'm just going to say REC. And there's some fraction of people that recover at this stage. But others, 1 minus the fraction of severe, become critical. These are people who end up in the intensive care unit, who require more than fluids and maintenance, and who require eventually respirators, ventilators. And again, some number of them have crit, recover, and unfortunately, 1 minus F crit become, well, here, let's turn the corner here, deaths. So in all of this, well, let's see if I can do this. This part is what we've simply been calling cases. These arrows have been the recovery and the mortality. So this is this is morbidity and mortality. Now, the challenge is, so in the earthquake sense, we can think of this as the stress accumulation part. It's much more complicated, obviously. Well, particularly the way. And also down here, critical at this point is a box that I'm simply going to call medical resources. And in the simplest sense, we can add to those by mobilizing. And we subtract from them by using them. And in this model, as I've described it, the stock of severe cases and the stock of critical cases drain the medical resources. So, and then the challenge, of course, is to keep this above zero. And the metaphor with earthquakes is that when this becomes zero, it's like going from small to large earthquakes. So when the medical resources can absorb the stress put on them by need, then we're in the category of small, and things will scale in a way where these numbers are smaller. At the point at which this hits zero, that is, we use them up faster than we can mobilize them, or faster there's a buffer in here. That is, we have medical resources available at all times, and then we try to add to those as quickly as we can. But at the point that this becomes zero, these numbers will change, and we'll have a different relationship between the number of people who get sick and the number of people who recover. So the next step, of course, would then be to take this apart. And I think I'll do that quickly in another, I'll take a run at it in another video. All right, so that's a little bit of hierarchy on morbidity and mortality, and maybe and I'll try and and that's